This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to ACABOR meeting of November 19th. Shirley, first, would you like to start us off with the pledge?
United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
under God,
indivisible,
and
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate it. We are down 2 folks tonight, so there's 5 board members, but that gets us the quorum we need. Same ground rules as normal, everybody. Generally, I think it's been here at least once or twice, and knows the rules. We will mute everybody except for the applicant who's speaking. As the applicant goes through, describes the project, the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. Once the board has asked the questions that they have, we will open up to the public and allow the public to ask any questions or make any comments on the application that they would like. So yeah, let's start. First up is a continuation of the 348 South Middletown Road plans. Mr. Brenner, I believe that's yours.
That's correct. If the board remembers correctly, my client was before you 2 weeks ago. Most of the plantings had been done, but you were not happy with the drawings which he presented. He went back, and I think you have the new drawings, which I think pretty much outlines what he'd like to do or has done. And primarily, we're here for your approval.
And these pictures that are part of this, that's the existing conditions as it is now. Thank you for sending the new plans. Just open up some questions for the board. Shirley, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't see the AC unit on the landscape plan and what landscaping is going around it.
Carlos, can you open up your so you can speak? Okay, Carlos, do you know where the air conditioning unit is located?
Yes, the air conditioning units, how I probably bypass. It's in the back of the house, like it was being mentioned in the plans, when we just got them. Was supposed to be in the back, so it is.
Near the garage or what? I mean, where exactly is it, Carlos?
It's in the back. One is in the back deck, and one is in the corner of the house, also in the back. They're not together.
They're not together, and they're laid on the brick?
Yeah.
Now, were you going to put any? I don't know if you could put landscaping around it because it has to have free air to move.
So if I look at this, I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you can. You're saying they're here and here?
Yes, in the corner. Yeah.
This area and this area.
I know the units I have in my house, I have to keep them free because we need the air circulation. Did the board have something in mind?
In general, I think we'd like to see some screening around them. You've got, Shirley, what are your thoughts? I know you asked the question.
Well, I would just like to see some screening not on top of them, but nearby so that it's not able to be viewed from the road or by neighbors. That is possible.
Can you install hedges around there, Carlos?
Yes, I mean, no one is gonna see it because it's going to be close with all those bushes where I planted.
I think
I guess I don't understand where it is then, because I thought it was not in the bushes.
what he's saying here is you've got them. I gotta try and look at the camera here. And here that are blocked by these arborvitaes here and here. I would kind of agree with Shirley though that those arborvitaes at the moment are relatively short, and granted they grow pretty fast. Some screening around those such that they are broken up from the road, it would be appropriate, right?
I agree.
What about properties to the east? The neighboring property. That's what I thought was, there's nothing screening it in that direction unless there's a fence or a screen along that side of the property. For the one unit at any rate, that's at the corner by the garage, toward the garage.
Is there any screening between those two houses on Linda Lane?
Put your sign down again, Carlos, so the board can hear you. Oh, okay.
What was the question? Sorry, I was looking at the plant. I also have the picture. I can explain where exactly the units are.
You can what around the units?
I can show where the units are, the AC units, because I have the picture with me.
You want to show it on the screen?
Yes, actually, it's one unit's in this corner. Small
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah, can you move the picture over?
Well, move it a little closer to this way. No. You had it back further enough. Move it closer to you so they can see where you're pointing. Okay. Now show where your pencil again where it is.
The one it's right here in this corner.
Yeah.
And when you see the walls goes out in the end, so it's right here.
Okay. Well, Mr. Atchison was saying the first unit that you're talking about, the first unit. Put your pencil back where the first unit was. No, the other other unit. Yeah. He's saying, will the neighbor to the east be able to see the unit? Because you don't have any kind of plantings on that border. This one's pretty much boxed off. Can you put some hedges around that unit?
Right here.
The other one.
Oh, this one right here.
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that one. Yes.
Would that work, Mrs. Christie?
Yes, that would.
If you plant some hedges around there, I think that would make the board feel better.
Okay. Can do that.
Okay. Anything else, Shirley?
Nope, that is all. Thank you.
Joe, any questions, comments?
No,
So
I'm fine with that.
Brian, any questions, comments?
No.
And Sharon, any questions, comments?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Is there anybody, I'm gonna just unmute folks, is there anybody anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, you may need to unmute yourself. Hearing none. Oh, go ahead.
Jay Nakashima. I am the property right north of Mr. Ounce's property,
Can you provide your address for us, please?
42 South Middletown Road.
Thank you.
So I'm right north. In other words, the property that Mr. Ounce has is his backyard, my side yard. It's my driveway there. I just wanted to make sure that we're getting more protection because I have clear view to the back of his property. The second unit that has a deck on the lower is clear view. And I see right through his carport. So I know that Mr. Owens has promised that he would plant some shrubs there. So I just wanted to reconfirm that.
Yeah, so per the plan that's been presented, there will be a line of green arborvitaes that will be across that northern property line, which should provide that screening. Granted, I believe from what I saw, they're only about 4 or 5 feet now. They will grow rather quickly in terms of screening. They're about as fast as you can get in growth.
Okay, but that would be all the way up to his western part of his property, correct?
It stops, call it.
Sorry, eastern part. So sorry, I got it backwards. Eastern
Yeah,
part of his.
It stops about halfway or through the garage.
My understanding was he was going to go all the way up. Is that correct, Mr. House, or is that incorrect?
Well, the drawing shows it's halfway across the garage.
Currently, it is because he mentioned the fact that he ran out of shrubs. It's too late in the season.
So can we have that extended to the western property line? Those arborvitaes, is that an issue?
Carlos, can you finish it later on in the spring?
Yeah, I definitely I'm gonna put more trees. I couldn't get more of those. I already got more than 60 pieces, so they said they will get it, but not for this time of the year. So hopefully, by the springtime, I can put more and finish up that line.
So okay, so you when we go through and do approvals, we'll have put a condition on that those arborvitaes get filled in next growing season to the western edge of that property line.
That's good.
Okay.
And the last one was that there used to be a wire fence. Is it possible to put that back? Because Mr. Owens had his landscapers had a terrible time removing some of the old growth that was blocking his old driveway there. So he was kind enough to remove all the trees and clean it up. But the fence has been torn up by his contractor. Is it possible that you put that back in?
So that's not something that's on this plan. That would have to be something I think they would need to reconsider and do it at a different time. Given that there's not a fence here and the wire fence, probably from a appearance perspective, which is our purview, and making sure things look right, doesn't. I don't know if that fits. So that's something I think you'd have to take up at a later date.
Well, the only reason why I asked is it was the original property markers all the way down, and it's goes all the way to Blue Hill. So it must have been put in the 50s, maybe possibly in the early 60s when subdivisions went in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the question.
I'm asking whether he would put the fence back in to divide the property between my house and his house that we used to be there.
Well, I think he's putting in the plantings. I don't think he's going to put a fence up.
Well, yeah, my understanding was that you were supposed to not change the property line or anything. So
Well,
I don't know whether.
I don't think the property line has changed. Property line is
So the property line here isn't changing, right? The fence might have come out and it's being replaced with some arborvitaes. That's what we've got, and that's what they're proposing. There's nothing here about a fence. And if that was already removed, that is what it is. I don't believe, and you'd have to check with the building department, that there is code around fences under 6 feet. So if that fence is under 6 feet, it's up to the property owners to choose what they'd like to do. But I would verify that with the building department.
Okay.
Is anybody, any other comments from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. So 2 conditions are coming out of this. So do you have a motion to approve with condition 1 that the AC units are screened appropriately to break them up from the neighboring properties, and 2, that the arborvitaes on the northern property line extend the full from the full line from east to west, where right now there's a gap on the western side that gets filled with arborvitaes as the rest of that property line is.
I'll make that motion.
Have a
I'll
second? Second. I'll do a quick roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
All right. We are all set. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Excuse me, who voted first and second? You have to say your names, please.
It was Joe made the motion and Shirley seconded.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry. All right. Up next
Can I call?
is Uncle Tommy's Tavern sign plan. Robin, are you going to take the reins on this, or
Yes,
there you go?
you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so Uncle Tommy's Tavern would like to do dimensional letters as pictured, half-inch thick acrylic, painted metallic gold color in coordination with the storefront colors, which are red, gold, and black. With their new logo design, and they will be using the signage areas that are kind of have been previously indicated on the building, stud mounted to the building surface. The colors are red, gold, and black. I'm not sure if you could see this.
Hold on. Are you sharing? I don't see you. I just
Can you
see
see
you.
me?
I cannot see you, Robin. No.
Oh. Not sure. Vin, can you come down? Okay. I have a button that says video. Does that help? Can you see me now? No.
I cannot.
Okay. Well, the colors in the picture that you have been provided, in the drawing that you've been provided, is pretty much the colors, and it does. They're not seeing me. I had me like this. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's see if we can.
There you are.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was before, and I have all. That's you. I have all selected, so I guess that's the best I can do. Can we work from the drawing that I have as far as the color selection?
Sure. Describe it verbally as you go, like you're doing, though. I think that's helpful.
So what we have is a bright red. It's Benjamin Moore 2000 red. You want me to describe the colors?
Sure. Yeah. As you were doing before, I think it's fine.
Okay. As far as the sign project, I've kind of described it. It's a pretty standard sign product, dimensional letters, stud mounted to the building, the color in coordination with the storefront, being red, gold, and black, and half-inch thickness with what the color is called brilliant gold with a satin finish.
And from the lighting perspective, I think it was gooseneck lighting that was there. That's going to remain?
Yes. I have to verify if that's functional, but yeah, I believe the plan is to leave that the same.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board? Shirley, any questions, comments?
No, none at all.
Okay. Joe, any questions, comments?
No.
Brian?
Yeah, just looking at the elevation photo, composite. It looks like you might need some additional light over the central sign because you only have a single gooseneck fixture on top of that, like you have over restaurant and pub, but the sign is 2.5 times as wide and big as those.
Yes, I can see it. I will make that recommendation.
Yeah, to get that lit evenly. Yeah, I mean, the red is quite pronounced. But it is what it is. It's a red building.
He has a in mind, kind of a regal kind of a theme that it's following suit with. He has a concept that he's trying to market.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like overall the regal theme. The red there's rather a lot of red, but that's all. It's just a personal opinion. It's not a plus or a minus.
Anything else, Brian?
No, I think that's it.
Sharon, any questions, comments?
So I do like the lettering. I do like the signs. I agree. I don't really like the red. I just feel like it's, I don't know, very bright.
Gaudy.
I'm really sure that it fits with the other bars and restaurants that are in that area, like the Saloon, it's all brick. Noonan's is all brick. I don't know, but again, I guess maybe it's personal, like Brian said, but I don't really like the red either.
Well, you can't miss it for one thing. When I went looking for it, it's quite obvious where Uncle Tom is.
It's a good thing that you can't miss it from Mike Doyle's point of view, who's trying to get noticed.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. I think the design is, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things going on. It's kind of a rich design, and I think the red just makes it very garish. In another color, it would be a much nicer design. And again, it's an aesthetic opinion.
I see
He
what
did
Brian-
have,
and he's
I'm
right.
sorry.
I see what Brian's saying, and maybe a little glaze of some kind over the red would make it slightly less bold, a little more subtle, and more regal.
I'm sorry, what was your suggestion?
Just a glaze over the red, so it's not just glaring and neon looking like it is now, and it would blend with the regal look of the signs. The signs are beautiful. And that, again, is just a suggestion. It doesn't have to happen, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think a different red, something that's not got quite so much orange in, something that's not so kind of like a child's block or something, you know, a richer red or something would complement the design more. I mean, I think it's going to catch the eye any way you look at it. But I mean, in order for that change, they'd have to change it and come back to us, right? Or should we just say, consider?
Okay.
In the red family, I don't know. Is that?
I think you'd have to ask them to consider that as a less, as you said, garish or
Not as bright. It's bright. I think the red is too bright and fruit-like. I think consider some other reds that work a little bit, work better with the black and the gold aren't quite. That would be a recommendation.
Yeah. We can see you now, Robin, by the way, just so you know.
Okay, and I found it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the board before I open up to public comment? All right. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I think it sounds like we're saying we're okay with the project with the recommendation to review the gooseneck lighting, to make sure that the sign center is properly illuminated, and to consider and have the option of going to a deeper, less bright red. Did I miss anything there? Or I have a motion to approve with the option to consider a deeper red that's less bright, and also just to make sure that the sign is illuminated with the proper gooseneck.
I'll make that motion it's Brian. I'll make that motion to approve with the two conditions. Improved lighting on the sign.
And do we have a second?
I'll do that.
And Shirley seconds.
Seconds.
All right. Do a roll call. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
All right. All right, you're all set. Thanks, Ellen.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Nice.
You can figure out how to turn it off.
A slight change in order here. We're going to do the retention system first. So that is, we're gonna do 2063 before 2062. Mr. Brenner, you're up.
Yes, okay. This is an ongoing project. It's been going on for many, many years. And in fact, one of the projects is now really actually being built at the Bronx House part, which is on the western portion of this property. This really came about is that there's a very serious drainage problem on Sickletown Road in the vicinity on the eastern portion of the property. My client's been working with the neighbors for many, many years to try to help and alleviate the situation. They have designed a retention type system, which will be explained to you, which will store the water, capture the water, and discharge it when the rains abate. It's a very costly situation, but the client did promise the neighbors that they would do something for him. We have with us tonight the engineer from Stantec, Troy, who will describe the project to you, and then we'll take other questions. You on, Troy?
I am on. Mr. Chairman, can I share my screen? Would that be okay?
You may. You should have it now.
Okay.
Save me having a gigantic plan as well.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, I don't know if I can make this smaller. That makes me nervous to touch that. Anyways, just to provide the board with some orientation on where this project is. This is the camp property, and the Bronx House area, which the board I think acted on several months ago, is on the western side of the property in this area here. This project, the Sickletown Basin, is on the eastern side of the property, as you can see in this location here. So Sickletown Road is behind in this area here. And basically the property has a ridge that runs through it. So there's a lot of drainage that runs off through these residential properties on this side between Sickletown Road and the camp property. So this has been a historic drainage issue that the camp has really committed a lot of resources to help to reduce this issue. So as Don mentioned, the switch over here. So this kind of shows you Sickletown Road in this area and the residential properties along here. And this is the basin area with a cutoff swale. So from an engineering standpoint, it's a dry detention basin with a swale that'll cut off runoff from the camp property before it reaches the residential properties and redirect it to a culvert underneath the Sickletown Road, County Street. We've studied many scenarios on the property to come up with the most effective drainage mitigation for this issue. And this is basically the most feasible location at the low point of the property on the east side here. The design's been a balance between improving the drainage, but also maintaining wooded buffers between the neighbors and the camp. As you can see, the dark green here are wooded buffers. This is about 100 feet or so on our property. and we'll be removing trees in the basin area because it requires grading to create the basin. And our proposal is to install, plant 70 new trees, which will be a mix of evergreens, spruce, pines, oak trees, tulip trees, etc. We submitted photographs of mature trees. The planting size that we specify on the plans will be 8 to 10 feet in height at initial planting. No structures are proposed for this project. There's one kind of large catch basin type structure that's within the bottom of the basin. But for the most part, there's no fencing, there's no buildings, no other structures. So with that brief description, I'll pass it back to the board for questions.
From where those houses are on Sickletown Road, what is the sight lines like? And I think you have that in the plans. I don't know if you have it here. There's not that much sight line from where those houses are in an elevation to this basin, are there? Or is that something they're going to see on a regular basis?
That's correct. Here, let's see if I can get this a little smaller. So the property drops off all the way down to Sickletown Road, which is over on this side here. So for the most part, the houses are down lower, and for the main basin part, there's a 6 or 7 foot berm, which you can see here in the dark black. So these trees represent to scale about 35 to 40 foot tall trees, which might actually be low for what's out there. So this kind of shows that 100-foot wooded buffer, at least through this section line, that'll help block views. And to be honest, it's really not an ugly proposal. The basin itself, we can't plant trees in, but it will be planted with a kind of like a wetland type grass mix. So it will encourage wildlife, and it will, be a pretty natural looking situation. So this kind of shows you a couple sight lines to those homes with existing trees that'll break views, and you can kind of see again that the terrain drops off, so they really won't have direct views at the basin.
That was the one main question I had. Shirley, any questions or comments?
No, my only question was about the landscaping, and that's the next part, correct?
Yeah, the landscaping, we submitted a landscaping plan to the board, and in general, we've clustered trees along this slope here that'll be the most effective with continuing of breaking the views up to this existing gravel parking area. So we've showed a heavy planting of trees along this slope, and we've also shown plantings along this area here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, any questions, comments?
No, thank you.
Brian
No questions.
and Sharon?
No questions.
Okay. I'll open up for public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. This is Kevin McCormack from 83 Sickletown Road.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Just thank you very much to the folks at the campground for working with us on this project for the last bunch of years. We do appreciate the fact that they listened. My main questions are just about, we appreciate the fact they're going to try and leave a lot of the trees that are there already are tall and established. But we wanted to know how many trees are going to be cut down in any area where the basin is going, or even just as a consequence of them working up there. So are there going to be a lot of trees that are going to be removed? And the trees that, I'm curious as to why there wouldn't be a fence around the berm. Do we feel that there's any kind of a safety issue, that if there were water in there, I realize it's going to drain slowly over time, but if there were water in there, is there any safety issue with somebody wandering in there and getting injured somehow? And the trees that they're going to plant on the berm itself, are those are the tulip trees and things that Troy mentioned already?
Correct.
So those are the only questions that we had. Thank you.
Thank you. So just from the last question, I believe, from the plans that berm is going to be a mix of tulip trees, oak trees, some evergreen trees, and Troy, keep me honest, I'm going based off what I had read earlier on the plans. And Troy, from the other two questions, do you roughly have an idea of how many trees are coming down and how many are being replanted?
Sure. There's we had to do a tree survey per the planning board's requirements, and so trees 8 inches and larger, there's approximately 150 trees that have to be removed to grade this basin. That's a 1.8 acre area, plus or minus, and we're planting back 70 trees. As far as the fence goes, the DEC, who regulates these types of basins, they have certain requirements for protections for the different types of basins, most notably for basins that permanently hold pools, permanent pools that are 4 to 5 feet deep that always hold water. As Kevin McCormick stated, this is a dry basin, so if there's a large storm event, this basin will fill up approximately to a maximum depth of, say, 4 feet for a very large storm, 100-year storm. So that's 7 inches of rain or so. So for most storm events, there's going to be, a foot or two of water in there at most. That is designed to drain out within a 24-hour period. The depth of water within the basin, except for very extreme events, would be, very low and would be gone within 24 hours or so. The slopes for the berm on the residential side are gentle enough where, you can walk up them and walk across the berm easily. So we don't really see the need for a fence, and we thought that might be more of an eyesore, to be honest. And this type of basin really isn't seen as a safety hazard in the eyes of most.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarifications there.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else from the public wishing to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do you have a motion to approve this plan as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as presented. It's Brian.
And I will second.
Oh, good.
We'll do a quick roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
All right. You guys are all set on that one. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. See if I can give this back to you. I have a lot going on here.
All right. Next up is again Henry Kaufman Campgrounds, and we are looking at updates to the 92Y and Camp 12 trail sections. Who's going to take us through?
As I spoke to the board before, this is like the end phase of the project in which the second phase, the second part of the property is now going to be modernized or meet the standards which are required now for proper camping, and that includes the 92nd Street Y and the 12 Trail situation. We have our engineers here who are going to describe it to you. The northern part, the central part, and the southern part. You will see that pretty much, as will be explained to you, it's just upgrading the facilities that are there right now to meet the new standards. And I think the design engineer now should take over and explain the project to you. So,
hello, my name is Jason Popkin from Jaskorsky and Associates. How you doing, Tom? It's okay, it's fine.
good.
If I can, I could share my screen to show you what.
Ready to go?
I think I hit the button. See? All right. You can see my screen?
You can.
Okay. All right. So obviously, you know, this is just a general picture of the site at the Y. The areas that we're working in is in the north, the central, and the south areas of the site. And in the north area, we are removing 5 camp shelters that are here and removing some bathroom buildings. And we are relocating an amphitheater. That's basically a deck. The proposed plan is 5 new home bases. They are wood frame construction with split face block bathrooms. And the buildings have asphalt shingles, clapboard sided gables, and painted seated fencing. These are renderings very similar to what we showed about a year ago for the northern side of the site. They are wood frame buildings. Again, asphalt shingles, split face block, and the fencing around them to create closure is painted cedar.
And then just while you're there, because I'm sure this would, the colors that were done previously, do they match these, or are these different colors than what we?
Same colors, same color scheme, same materials. This is nothing new.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Obviously, we're just trying to create, you know, togetherness. So here's some elevations, very similar to the buildings that we showed. These are just a slightly different format for the buildings, the open air structures. In the center of the site, there's a central pool complex. We're doing really just ADA improvements. We're constructing ADA ramps because this portion here is where kids change. We call them the changing areas. So we're giving them ADA access. And their existing bathrooms, we're renovating the bathrooms to be ADA compliant. The changing areas, we're repairing the walls. Some of the walls will need to be affected, and they'll be painted the same blue as what's based on our blue scheme. And then we're putting sunshades over the changing areas so the kids aren't in full sun when they change. And that's central pool complex. The next is the southern portion of the complex, which is what we call 12 trails. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 home bases, actually 5 home bases and some sheds to be removed to make room for the new home bases. And we'll be working in this area here, installing a 2-pool new aquatic center. So this is the proposed plan: 1, 2, 3 home bases. The pool plan, the new aquatic center with 2 pools, some improvements to the fields, and we were doing 2 camp services building, a garage and a pavilion, which is really just golf cart storage. Again, the buildings are just slightly different. They have changing areas at the back, but they're the same: split face block, asphalt shingle roofs, clapboard siding, in 3 colors, to be, 3 colors that we've done. Same 3 colors that you saw in the past. similar elevations. This is a green scheme. And then at the pool complex, we have a lifeguard building, a lifeguard bathroom building. It's in a blue scheme, has a dark grayish green or dark grayish blue split face block, beige block, and then blue shingles. And then at the back of the pool, we're able to do a pavilion or a shed, depending on the requirements from the pool guy. In a blue scheme. And then in the center of the complex, I was saying that there was a pavilion for golf carts. It's basically cedar fencing, clapboard sidings on the gables, and asphalt shingles. And in the northern part of the section, I said that there was an amphitheater, which is really just a deck and some ADA ramps. And then the building, the garage building is a metal building, insulated metal panel building. It's in the middle of the site. And it's in two colors, a beige and a green. And then the last board is our color scheme, which is exactly with the change of the red, because we changed the red on our last scheme. This is the modified red. So this is the color scheme that was approved, I don't know, about a year ago, I say. That's the presentation.
All right, thank you. I'll open it up to the board first. Shirley, any questions, comments?
No.
Joe?
No.
Brian?
No.
Sharon?
No.
And you answered the one question I had around the colors. It's relatively consistent. So let's open up to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, you may need to unmute yourself. Go ahead. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. All right, I will make a motion to approve as presented. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll second it.
Or Sharon will second.
Aaron seconded. We'll do a roll call. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Sharon?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck. It looks really nice. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. You as well. All right. Up next, and for the rest of the evening, we've got the Onyx signs. Who will be representing for these?
Hi, Nicole Vasquez with Onyx.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So even though there's 8, I believe, 9 of these, we got to do each one individually. So we'll see how it goes, but I think we should be able to do it. So walk us through at least 200. Give us details, what you guys are doing, why you're doing it, and so on, please.
Sure, I do have a presentation. If you can allow me presenter rights, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Get it yet?
Yes.
Perfect.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
All right, great. So as Chris mentioned, we have 8 applications being presented tonight. I will go through each building and stop so we can review each of the signs, or I can present the whole presentation and then we can go back and, for the record, just reference each of the addresses, however you would like me to handle it.
I think my preference would be let's go through it as a whole, and then we'll come back and do each one individually.
I think that makes more sense. Yeah, that you guys can get the whole picture. So thank you again. We are before you tonight for 8 signage applications for Hudson Crossing Industrial Park. Together with me, I have Sharon Brandt from Foreman Sign. They're our sign consultant and vendor. So as you're aware, the 8 properties we're presenting are within the Hudson Crossing Industrial Park in Blauvelt, New York. We'll be presenting 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 400 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill Road, 600 Bradley Hill Road, 900 Bradley Hill Road, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway. So part of our rebranding strategy for the center after purchasing it back in 2019, it has been renaming the park. We created a new logo. We've done a significant amount of upgrades throughout the park, milling and paving, roofing works, addressing deferred maintenance. And part of what was lacking at the center was signage. We thought it was necessary for better wayfinding for our tenants, patrons of the center, and even for emergency personnel in case of an emergency, just finding a building quickly. First up on the roster is 200 Corporate Drive. It's an industrial building with frontage on Bradley Corporate Drive, a private road. There are 2 entrances to the site as shown by the arrows, and that's where we're proposing to install 2 signs. So this is, there's 2 different signage options of what we'll be presenting tonight. This is the standard look for the directional and entrance signs for each of the buildings. It's a post sign. The color scheme is uniform throughout, the blue, the gray, the black, with the reflective white lettering on the signs, and they're double-faced signs with our logo up top. Here you see what the night view would be. It's non-illuminated, but again, the reflection of the lights will allow for someone to see it at night. So we're proposing that the sign in 2 locations, one at the first entrance on Corporate Drive to the building, and one at the second entrance across from 100 Corporate Drive. If you were to drive through today, you'd see that there's like these small signs scattered throughout the park by the tenants because there's nothing really showing where they are today. So this would create uniformity, again, better wayfinding, and every building will have the same look. Next up is 300 Corporate Drive. Again, the building only has frontage onto Corporate Drive, which is a private road, 2 entrances as well. We thought it'd be best to install a sign at each of the entrances so that traffic coming from the western end of Corporate Drive, they would see that sign on this entrance, and anyone coming onto Corporate Drive from 303, they would see the sign here as well. It's a pretty large parcel. Same look as 200. Again, the white reflective lighting, the black backboard and blue with our Hudson Crossing Industrial Park logo. This one's a little taller just because we have a number of tenants at this building. But again, you'll see the building address and each of the occupants of the building. This is the second location. Mirror basically image of the other sign, so same look, same content.
And just as I want just before we go on, any existing signs for these buildings, for example, 300 has I think an existing sign. Those are going to come out, right? And we
right. I don't think those were ever approved. So part of our proposal is obviously get your approval, and any older signs that are in place, those will be removed. It's just a clean single sign and look throughout the center.
Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up is 400 Corporate Drive. This site has technically 3 entrances. We're only proposing 2 signs off of the main lobby. It's a single tenant building. So again, just for visibility off of each of the sides off of Corporate Drive, anyone coming down from either direction would be able to see the address of the building. There was only one photo, but it's basically the same thing on both ends of the parking lot entrance. Next up is 500 Bradley Hill Road. This building is off of Bradley Parkway. It has currently two entrances, one here and one here. We're proposing one side basically in the middle section of the lawn area. And it would look like this. 600 Bradley Hill Road is a little more spread apart. So we're proposing 4 signs for this parcel. The first one is at the intersection of Bradley Parkway and Bradley Hill Road. And if you would continue down Bradley Park and cross the railroad tracks, it would become Oratani Drive. And then all of the other signs are along Bradley Hill Road. So the first one, this is the second look for the signs we're proposing. This is a true directional sign, just showing the different pockets of the center. Let everyone know that they're within Hudson Crossing Industrial Park. And if you go out this way, you would hit the Oratani buildings and it would show you where the physical building locations are. Here's a closer look of that. And when we purchased the park, again, here's everyone trying to show their customers where they're located. We want to just create some more uniformity and a cleaner, more modern, sharper look is what we're aiming for. This will be an illuminated sign just so that it's easier to see at night. Here's the second sign we're proposing for 600 Bradley Hill Road. So this is currently a multi-tenant building with Gain Sports occupying this space here. They actually moved out, so their sign came down, but it's still, the building's still split into 2 sections. So this sign would show the name of the tenant going in here, and this sign would show the name of the tenant or tenants that would go in the balance of the building. So this is specific to 600 Bradley. We're proposing a 4th sign on this site. Again, additional directional signage showing where the 700, 800, 900 Bradley Hill Road buildings are along Bradley Hill Road, and then with arrows pointing towards a corporate drive section where Restaurant Depot is. Again, if you were to drive through, you'd see Restaurant Depot signs just plugged into the grass throughout to show their customers where they're located. This is 900 Bradley Hill Road. It's a single tenant building. We're proposing 1 sign. The tenant currently has a sign in this location. We're proposing to replace that and for uniformity again. I believe the sign is right where we're showing our rendering. Next up is 875 Western Highway. The building's not directly on Western Highway, but this road here does intersect with it. We're proposing 3 signs for this property. 2 of them are right at the entrance to the park on the 875 Western Highway parcel. It's showing the tenants that are within this section of the park. There's only 2, it's Gusky and CWS Powder Coating.
Okay.
So again, traffic coming north and south, they would both have visibility to the sign and where the access to the center is. The 3rd sign is specific to 875 Western Highway with the tenant's name. There is a sign in this location here that will be removed and replaced with the new one. Last up is 877 Western Highway. It's tucked away on this pocket of the park. 1 sign being proposed. It's a double-face sign proposed for the lawn area, showing the building address and the tenant's name. And that is it. We're available for any questions the board may have.
I think what we'll do is we'll just have the board ask some general questions around the projects, and as we go back through each one, if there's other questions, we'll have public comment for those, and any specific questions. So looks like it's mostly just the board here, so I'll let you guys unmute yourselves. Any questions from the board in general about the set of applications? Shirley?
No.
Joe?
No, I think the signs look nice. I just had a question. The ones that are on the main, that are right on the main roads, is the company planning any plantings or shrubs around those, like to dress it up a little bit?
Yeah, we definitely would. If you were to drive to the center now, the sign that is on the intersection of 600 and 800 Bradley Hill Road, you can just find it. This sign, we did add some mulch and just seasonal plantings around to dress it up and just
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you put plantings around these things, they gotta be very low plantings. You know, these are low down to the ground. You don't wanna, I mean.
Yeah.
You don't wanna.
Sorry, it sounds like someone else's mic is unmuted. What we usually do, it's either mums or cabbage, paisleys,
Right.
nothing, no tall greenery. It's just for color.
So there's sort of some differences in the signs, and I don't know whether that's on purpose. I guess the main entry sign has the blue arrows in separate boxes because it kind of sets it apart from the other ones as a directional. The main sign, 875, has no address. Is that, I mean, I guess purposeful.
Just 875. So this here, or the main sign?
That. There's no address, road address.
Yeah,
I mean,
so this content will change. This was only for us to really show the
idea
of the sign, but this will all change. Some of the tenants have changed throughout the building since we put the design package together. So the content reflected here would change.
So you have the address at the top of on the top board of most of the signs, but not all of them. Some of them don't have the address there because they're all full of tenants, or they might get all full of tenants. It seems to me, looking at these signs, that you would make the address different from the tenants, because the address looks like a tenant on the
Let me go like one of these, like here, like this.
Yeah. I mean, I would have thought that you would have really something that made the address that the sign represented different from the tenants themselves. Would be the same at every sign, but whether it's on a different color board or it's part of the main body of the sign, and then the boards start just below that, which would be obviously extending the blue a little bit or something. So it seemed odd that some of them they're all the tenants that are identified there. Now, when a tenant has if a building has 4 tenants, they all have the same street address or the same street address, but then they have a separate suite or something.
Right. So a good example would be, if I could just go back to 300 corporate, that's the building probably with the most tenants. Let me just scroll back here. So here, 300 corporate, these are all the tenants within that building. And then the tenants have their name and suite number on their doors. So this is more for wayfinding of where the tenant is in the center and the building.
Yeah.
And here's how the designer, proposed centering the building address, and we can make this consistent throughout. All of the tenants listed would be to the left or portion of the board.
Okay. So every sign will have the the first block will be the address.
Correct.
So kind of, there's something there that caught my eye as you're going through this. That it seems like what you said there, where was it? Some of them don't have the address at the top, right? So if we look at, oh gosh, I moved the paper that told me what number it was. The one that says Keinenberger and Nugent at the top doesn't have an address. So that was one thing. That's the one, yeah. And then, is that just a misprint or is that intentional?
No, that was a misprint. Again, when we surveyed the site with the designer, we gave him like a list of the tenants that were there, but every sign will have the building address on the first board centered, and then the tenants will be listed throughout. We will make that consistent.
Okay. And the other thing is the justification of the people, the tenants is not consistent. So like 900 Bradley Hill has Tri-Seal centered, while 300 Corporate Drive is left justified. Is that?
That's probably because they're a single tenant. We had no, if we have no preference, we can either center them, or if we wanted to make it every building consistent, we can certainly justify them to the left.
So
Well, you kind of got to stay with that scenario that's done here. I think I agree, because as soon as you have multiple tenants with these big sites with the multiple parking lots, all of a sudden you have to introduce arrows. So the arrow kind of balances out the justification on the left. If you have only one name, one tenant, you wouldn't want it to be off center. But it looks balanced by the arrows on the other centers. You kind of, it works.
The other thing there, to me, Brian, is when they're left justified, the address actually is more clear to me that it's not a tenant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get the dress being the same kind of bar. I almost want it to be a different color, or almost be a blue or something, to have it stand out as something different than the names of the
We could make that like the silver, maybe, just to bring out the silver, make the first section silver with maybe black lettering.
Silver, or the silver, or the letters silver. I don't know if the letters silver would be enough of a difference, and B might just make it hard to read them. So I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a thought. I mean, this is very cohesive. It's all black. They all are the pieces. One is so, I don't know that this is, I mean, it graphically reads, and it's not bad. I wondered the idea of making that up top board a different color, but the same shape. Like you say, silver might work visually on it. It doesn't break it up too much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, my only concern is then that the address itself is not the white reflective lettering. It will be more difficult to see.
Yeah. That's and if you made it blue like the other blue background, but it's got a silver border because it's the panel. I don't know that would be as crisp a look as the black. So
yeah,
maybe the black is the way to go.
Yeah, I think the black is the best, just because it's a good contrast with the white reflective lettering.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with the black.
Okay.
Sharon, did you have any questions, thoughts?
Yeah, well, just so overall, I just wanted to be clear. So none of the tenants will have their own signs?
For this application, no. If a tenant in the future wants their own sign, like on the building, they would have to come before you guys, but we're proposing just a single sign for all of the tenants within that building.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
How will you set the order of the signs? the names alphabetically?
What was that?
How will you organize the names on the signs? Probably haven't thought about that alphabetically, based on who pays the most, based who was there first.
Probably by suite number. Again, the best example would be 300 corporate. Right now, the way they're listed here is by suite number. So if you were to go around the building, you would find the tenants in
I see,
order.
so the order that you would drive past them, but they won't have the suite number on here. It's just going to be their name. Or
Just
suite.
their name. Yeah, just their name. And it would get a little messy if you start adding suites, and it'd be a lot.
Yep.
I have to ask because it's bugging me, and when even though you have a single tenant on some of these signs, and I'm going to use 400 as the example, right? If you were to add another tenant there, you would put the arrows on that sign. Why wouldn't you just put the arrows on the single tenant anyway? Similar to like if I look at 200, all the tenants are the arrows point the same direction. It doesn't tell you anything different. Like, why wouldn't you just put the arrow consistently on the sign for the tenants?
Sharon, I think that was something you guys added. If we're showing the building address and the tenant list for that building, I don't think the arrows are necessary. So I would be inclined to remove them. I don't think they really do much. It may have been just an option by the designer added here if we wanted to go with that. Yeah, because these arrows point up. I think it was just a detail they added on the rendering. We can remove that.
Yeah, I kind of like the arrows because it left justifies things, and that makes the address pop to me. But I don't know. If it's just me, it's not bad. I mean, the other thing I'm thinking is like if you have them or you don't have them in the future, you're gonna get somebody who's gonna create a sign or a section of the sign to update for a tenant, and it's gonna be inconsistent, right? Because sometimes they're gonna need an arrow, sometimes they're not. You know. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that though.
Yeah, like for this one, this is another truly directional sign. So it's supposed to be 600 Bradley Hill Road, and then it's showing the buildings that are up ahead. I think it makes sense to have the arrows there. And for this one being that it's like an oddly shaped site, it's showing Gain Sports performing this way, and then tenants that were there previously up ahead, and then you'll eventually hit the next sign and it'll show the tenants going this way. So you would prefer seeing all of the arrows?
I like the arrows, but that's just me. I get what you're saying, and I kind of get it too. I just, from the consistency standpoint, it feels like it's easier going to have it one way or the other. But like I said, for me, when it's left justified, it makes it easier to pick out that street address. To me.
Okay. All right. Well, we can huddle up with our vendor and clean this all up. You know, the names of tenants have changed again since we put this design together almost a year ago. And, you know, get their opinion too as to what would be the best way to reflect these, and maybe come up with a standard for just building signs showing tenants in that building, and for directionals, making it all a little clearer.
That makes sense to me. If you do that and you make those changes, you're going to have to come back and visit again, though.
So even if we're like the wording here, this is all just for presentation's sake. Like again, this has changed. So today this one says 600 Bradley. The building is currently vacant. So
right. I think it's so I'm less concerned about the letters there, right?
Okay.
The word. as the style and layout of that, right? So regardless of whether it says Days Off Design there or, Days of Our Lives Studios, right? It's the question of whether there's an arrow next to it and where's the justification.
Got it. I'm okay with deciding that now.
I mean,
I would like to
Cheryl,
give direction.
yeah, Cheryl and Liz, can we make a condition that the sign on 200, for example, is the arrows and justification needs to be consistent with all these other applications? Is that a condition we can put on each one of these? Or no?
I'm not sure exactly what you want to say.
So like if we said, I'm just going to use 200 as an example, say, 200, the application, giving the applicant the option to left justify with an arrow or center justify, as long as the styling is consistent across all other signs at 400, 600, 800, 900. All these kind of related but unrelated applications. Does that make sense what I'm asking? I guess my question is, can we make a condition that forces one application to be consistent with all these other applications?
I would think that you could, because they're all coming in together and it is a park, an industrial park, but they're all coming in together.
Okay.
If it does change, I could bring I can bring it back as other business and you can take a look at it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe if you keep the wording not as specific, if you say something along the lines of must be consistent, or the last sentence of your condition would must be consistent among the following applications: 200, 400, 375, submitted on X date if you specify by date.
Okay. That's, well, I mean, I'll ask the rest of the board, does that make sense to give that option so they don't have to come back, or what do you guys think?
I think that's fine, Joe.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
And Sharon, thoughts? Shirley? Okay. Okay. Shirley, you okay with it too?
That's fine, sure.
Okay. Makes sense. All right then. Let's start.
Okay, do we have to go through each and just state the address for the record?
We do. We are gonna approve each one. Okay, and do public comment on each one. Let's start with 200 Corporate Drive. Let's do public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. All right, do we have a motion to approve with the following conditions, which are the address will always be at the top of the sign, and the applicant has the option of left justifying with an arrow or center justifying without an arrow, as long as the styling is consistent with 300 Corporate Drive application sign, 400 Corporate Drive application sign application, 500 Bradley Hill sign, 600 Bradley Hill sign, 900 Bradley Hill sign, 875 Western Highway directional sign, and 877 directional highway sign. You have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion for that.
And I will second. Sharon made the motion, Chris seconds. We'll do a quick vote. Chris, myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Sharon.
Yes.
Um, So, and I'll ask Charlotte, do I have to say each and every one of them, or can we just copy and paste as we go through?
You can probably just say 300, 400, and just say all the same, and just say that the votes are just the same as well, and I'll take care of it.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next up, 300 Corporate Drive. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Seeing none, hearing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve with the conditions that the top lot, the address will always be at the top, and that the applicant has the option of going with left justified and arrows or center justified, as long as it is consistent with similar applications from 200 Corporate, 400 Corporate, 500 Bradley Hill, 600 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway sign applications. You have a second?
I'll second the motion. Joe?
Roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Next up is 400 Corporate Drive. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do I have a motion to approve with the conditions that the address is always at the top? Arrows will be, the signs will either be left justified with arrows or center justified, consistent with signage applications at 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill, 600 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. Joe?
Roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Sharon?
Yes.
Next up is 500 Bradley Hill. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve with the condition that the address is always at the top. And the applicant has the option to go with left, with the tenants left justified with arrows or centered, as long as they are consistent with the sign applications of 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 400 Corporate Drive, 600 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway. And do we have a second?
I'll second. Sharon?
And we'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
All right. 600 Bradley Hill. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve with the conditions that addresses are at the top. The applicant has the options to have text left justified with arrows or centered, as long as the signage is consistent, the styling is consistent with 200, 300, 400 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
We're 900 now, right?
Right.
Okay. 900 Bradley Hill. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, the public portion is closed. Can I get a motion to approve the option with the conditions that the address will always be at the top, and the applicant has the options to left justify text with an arrow or center justify, as long as the styling is consistent with 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 400 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill, 600 Bradley Hill, 875 Western Highway, and 877 Western Highway.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Brian making the motion.
Joe
And-
seconding.
Roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
All right. Up next is 875 Western Highway. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve with the condition that the address is at the top. The applicant has the option to left justify with an arrow or center text, as long as it is consistent with similar application at 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 400 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill, 600 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, and 877 Western Highway. And do we have a second?
I'll second, Brian.
Okay. Do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
All right. And up next is 877 Western Highway. There you go. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do I have a motion to approve with the conditions that the address is always at the top, and the applicant has the option to left justify with arrows or center justify, as long as the styling is consistent with 200 Corporate Drive, 300 Corporate Drive, 400 Corporate Drive, 500 Bradley Hill, 600 Bradley Hill, 900 Bradley Hill, and 875 Western Highway.
I'll make the motion. Joe.
All right, so Joe made a motion, Sharon will second.
Yes.
All right, and do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Sharon.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. You're all set.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the patience.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. All right, who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Don't jump, Shirley. You have a second.
I'll second.
All right, Joe, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right, thanks, everybody. Next meeting is the 5th, correct? right? I think.
Next meeting is December 3rd.
Third, there you go. Okay. I knew it was a single digit. And
This conference is no longer being recorded.